was a trim girl in her early 20s, articulate, pretty, and friendly. Like the rest of the staff, she zipped around in a brown T-shirt bearing the restaurant's logo and a snug pair of jeans. Why, if he were a younger man, he mused, watching her, and if he weren't a priest. Not a priest. The thought amused him. She had an interesting, exotic face. Daniel was a student of faces. He pegged her as half French, half Algerian. Irene reminded him of this French-Algerian singer he liked named Nadia, or the American singer Nora Jones. "Bonsoir, mon père," she said. "Hello, father." "Bonsoir, Irene," he answered. He had been here often enough to know the staff and their names. He pulled off his wool coat, gloves, and scarf. The restaurant smelled good. It was a good life he was living these weeks in Paris. He liked this part of the day where he could sit in a bustling place, pick up on the energy of the young people around him, and be alone with his thoughts. "Sit anywhere you like," she said. He nodded. He scanned. He spotted the American woman at a table by herself. Well, fortune was smiling on him. He would not be alone this evening. Rosa, as she had introduced herself on a prior evening. She was a professor of some sort, or so she said. Single, she had said, and appreciative of some unthreatening companionship as the day ended. She had never given her last name, and he had never asked it. She had held him in conversations about philosophy and theology for the last 2 evenings, and didn't seem to have any ulterior motives, something against which Daniel was always watchful. Surely she wouldn't mind having company again. He knew he wouldn't. It was tough these days to even find a woman who could tolerate a cigar, much less a cigar smoked by a priest. She was seated near the door. She smiled when she saw him. He approached her table. "Mind if I join you?" he asked. They spoke English, his with a trace of an accent that suggested Eastern or South Central Europe. Hers was American, flat as corn country. When she had asked about his accent, he had explained that his roots were in Hungary. "I was a boy in Budapest," he had recounted. "That's where my parents had lived until 1956. When the Russian tanks rolled in, they fled to England and then Canada." "Where did you go to seminary?" she had asked. "Montreal. That's how I speak French." She in turn explained that she had grown up in Kansas, but now lived in New York City. He knew all about New York, it turned out. He entertained her with stories. She did likewise. This evening, as always, Daniel folded his overcoat and placed it neatly on an extra chair at their table. He sat down. Irene brought him a cognac, gave him a cute smile, and quickly left to attend other tables. "You are sure my cigar doesn't bother you?" Daniel asked his table companion. "Not at all." They fell into a conversation easily. He noticed that she was watching his hands. She was drinking a Coca-Cola with a twist of lemon. There was music playing again tonight, so loud that one had to raise one's voice just to be heard. A friendly din. Lots of conversation in several languages, lots of glasses clinking and plates clattering. L'Étincelle was a cheerful, upbeat joint. A few minutes into their conversation, she raised a hand and waved to a man who came in the door and surveyed the place. "Oh, there's a friend of mine," she said. "He's going to join us." Daniel didn't like that. For no reason, or for every reason, he didn't like it at all. He had an acute antenna, and he sensed something was wrong. He looked at the stranger with a stare that could bore a hole in a cinder-block wall. But before Daniel could object, the newcomer slid into the extra chair, the one closest to the door. Daniel took him to be American before he even opened his mouth. He looked like a businessman of some sort. Another sign of trouble. There was an awkward moment. The man looked at Daniel with intent, dark eyes. Rosa offered no introduction. That in and of itself was enough of a further clue. 3 strikes and... "What?" Daniel asked, looking back and forth, hoping he might...